Welcome to the Depth Dive. We're skipping the usual noise today and going straight to something pretty fundamental for anyone involved in information security.
Yeah.
We're putting on our instructor hats, really, to walk you through Clause 5 of ISO IEC 27001.2022. The whole section is just called Leadership.
Exactly.
Mm.
And you can think of Clause 5 as, well, like the cornerstone, maybe, for how information security gets managed in any organization. It's not just about the tech stuff, firewalls and all that. It's about who's steering the ship, what they need to do, and how they set that tone right from the executive suite. It makes it clear that security isn't some IT side job.
No, it's core leadership stuff.
It is.
So this clause, it really spells out what top management needs to do. Not just talking the talk, but actually demonstrating commitment, making sure there's a solid information security management system, an ISMS that works and, importantly, keeps getting better. So our mission here is pretty simple. Break down each bit of Clause 5. Explain it clearly, make it easy to grasp why it's not just, bureaucracy, but essential for real security.
Okay, let's kick things off then. Section 5.1, leadership and commitment.
Yeah.
And like you said, this isn't about vague support. The standard lists specific actions, very specific.
Okay, so let's unpack that first one. Top management's job number one, essentially. Make sure the information security policy and the security objectives, they're not just dreamt up separately. They absolutely have to line up with where the whole organization is trying to go strategically.
That's a great way to put it. It's like ensuring the ship's safety rules actually help the journey. They don't hinder it unnecessarily.
Right.
So it's about making security an enabler, not a roadblock. Then 5.1b jumps into integrating ISMS requirements right into the organization's processes.
So not just a separate manual gathering dust.
Exactly. Security needs to be baked into how things actually get done day to day, not an add-on.
Yeah, moving beyond security as that last-minute check. You embed it from the start. And, well, you can't do any of this without backing, can you?
Nope.
That's where 5.1c comes in. Top management must ensure the necessary resources are there for the ISMS.
And resources is broad, isn't it? It's not just cash.
Right. It's budget, sure, but also people, the right technology, training, everything needed to make it work.
And what's interesting there, I think, is the challenge often isn't just getting a budget approved. It's about being smart with it.
Strategic allocation.
Yes. Prioritizing the security investments that give you the best bang for your buck in reducing real risk. Leadership needs that understanding business goals and threats.
Yeah.
You can't secure everything 100%, so you need smart choices.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Okay, then 5.1d moves to communication.
Crucial.
Top management has to be out there actively communicating why effective information security matters and why everyone needs to stick to the ISMS requirements.
It's about building that culture where security isn't an afterthought. It's just normal, top of mind.
Yeah, if the bosses talk about it like it's important, everyone else is way more likely to listen, right?
It really sets the whole tone. If people see leadership taking security seriously, they'll follow suit. It's leading by example, fostering that awareness. And following right on from that, 5.1e says top management has to ensure the ISMS actually achieves what it's supposed to achieve, the intended outcomes. They own its effectiveness, ultimately.
So it's not just set and forget.
Definitely not.
It means leadership needs ways to check if it's working. How do they know? What are the metrics? That subclause really underlines the accountability, doesn't it?
It does. And it pushes top management
Yeah.
to ask, okay, what are our intended outcomes for security? And how are we tracking that?
Right.
Could be through audits, maybe vulnerability scans, checking how incident response works.
Yeah.
Leadership needs to make sure these checks happen and that things get fixed when issues pop up.
Okay, moving along to 5.1f. The focus shifts more to people. Top management's job is directing and supporting individuals so they can actually contribute to making the ISMS effective. It highlights that security is, well, everyone's job in a way.
It's a team sport, like you said. A strong ISMS depends on everyone playing their part, being watchful, knowing their responsibilities.
So leadership needs to empower people.
Exactly. Give them the training they need, the awareness, make sure they feel like their contribution matters, maybe recognizing good security practice or having clear ways to report worries.
Makes sense. And naturally, it's never done. Clause 5.1g hammers home promoting continual improvement.
That's classic ISO, isn't it?
Yeah, the PDCA cycle idea. Always looking for ways to do things better, tweak processes, adapt to new threats because, let's face it, the threats are always changing.
And it's proactive. not just fixing broken stuff, but actively hunting for improvements.
Mm-hmm.
New tech, better procedures, lessons learned from incidents, or even near misses.
Good point. Okay, finally in 5.1 we have H, which sort of broadens the view a bit, supporting other relevant managers so they can show leadership in their own areas.
Right. It reinforces that security leadership isn't just one person's job, like the CISO or security manager. It needs to filter down.
Distributed leadership.
Exactly. Different managers championing security within their own teams, their own functions. That's how you embed it everywhere, integrate it into decisions at all levels, not keep it siloed off.
Okay, and there's that important note attached here too, isn't there, about the word business?
Ah, yeah, that's key. The standard says interpret business broadly. It just means the core activities that the organization exists to do.
So, doesn't matter if you're a tech giant, a small charity, a hospital, a government department.
Nope. Whatever your main purpose is, information security has to be woven into that.
That's a really crucial clarification.
It is. Because for, say, a charity delivering aid, their business is getting that aid delivered safely and reliably. Their security focus will be different from a software company's. Leadership needs to get that context to shape the ISMS properly.
Absolutely, and you can really see why this level of top management involvement is just non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It gives the authority, unlocks the resources, and crucially, sets the whole culture. Without real leadership buy-in, trying to build good security is just pushing water uphill.
You said it. So that brings us neatly to 5.2, which gets into the actual policy.
Right, the information security policy itself.
This subclause tells you exactly what needs to be in that policy and also how you need to manage it.
Okay, so the standard's pretty prescriptive here. No vagueness.
Not really, no. It lists key things the policy shall include.
Yeah.
First up, it has to be appropriate to the organization's purpose.
Seems obvious, but important. It needs to fit what the organization actually does, its size, its risks, the kind of data it handles.
Exactly. A policy for a small bakery will look very different from one for a global bank because their purpose and context are totally different. It needs tailoring.
Makes sense. What else shall be in it?
It shall include information security objectives, or, if not the specific objectives themselves, at least the framework for how you're going to set them.
Ah, so it connects to Clause 6.2, where objectives are detailed.
Precisely. The policy is the high-level statement, the guiding principles. The objectives are the concrete, measurable targets that flow from it.
Okay.
The policy also shall include a commitment to satisfy applicable information security requirements.
And applicable requirements is a catch-all term.
Pretty much. It covers laws like GDPR if you handle EU data, industry rules like PCI DSS for payment cards, security clauses in client contracts, basically any external rules you have to follow.
So the policy has to acknowledge those external pressures.
Yes. And just like with leadership commitment, the policy must include that commitment to continual improvement of the ISMS. That cycle again.
Built right in. Okay, so you have these elements in the policy, but how do you manage the policy itself?
Good question. The standard covers that too. First, it shall be available as documented information.
Meaning written down, stored properly, easy to find.
Yep. Got to be formalized. If it's not documented, it's just hearsay, leads to confusion.
Right.
Second, it shall be communicated within the organization. No point having a great policy if nobody knows about it or gets what it means for their job.
And communication isn't just sending an email, is it?
No way. Could be training, newsletters, intranet pages, part of onboarding new staff. The goal is making sure everyone who needs to know knows.
Okay. And the third management requirement.
It shall be available to interested parties as appropriate.
Interested parties? Like who?
Could be customers, suppliers, regulators, maybe potential partners. Depends on who needs to know and what the organization wants to share, for transparency or compliance.
Right. So thinking about the the constitution for your security effort.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It lays down the fundamental rules, the commitments, the big picture. Without that clear, documented, communicated policy, everything else gets shaky.
Okay, that really clarifies 5.2. So policy is sorted. What's the third part of Clause 5?
That's 5.3. Organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities.
The who does what section.
Exactly that. If roles aren't clear, things get missed.
Yeah.
Simple as that. If no one owns a task, it might just vanish. This bit is all about preventing those gaps.
So the standard demands clarity. Top management has to make sure that for any role relevant to information security, the responsibilities and the authority that goes with them are assigned.
Assigned and communicated.
Right, not just decided in a meeting room. Everyone involved needs to know who's responsible for what.
And the standard highlights 2 specific responsibilities that must be assigned by top management. No ambiguity allowed here.
Okay, what are they?
First, someone needs the responsibility and authority to ensure the whole ISMS conforms to the requirements of this standard, ISO 27001. Someone's got to own compliance with the standard itself.
Makes sense.
And the second one,
Second is assigning responsibility and authority for reporting on how the ISMS is performing, reporting that performance back to top management. Ah, the feedback loop again. So leadership stays in the picture about what's working, what's not, incidents, areas needing improvement.
precisely. That reporting is vital for oversight and decision-making.
Is there anything else in 5.3?
There's a useful note. It clarifies that top management, while ultimately responsible, can also assign roles for reporting ISMS performance more widely, not just reporting to them.
So like department heads reporting on security within their teams.
Yeah, or other managers owning specific security areas and reporting on those. It supports that distributed leadership idea we talked about.
Got it. So the main thrust here is just crystal clear accountability.
Absolutely. Avoid confusion. Everyone knows their security duties, clear lines of responsibility for everything from user access to incident response. It stops that whole, oh, I thought they were doing that problem.
Yeah, you can see how that prevents things falling through the cracks. If a vulnerability pops up, you know exactly whose job it is to assess it and deal with it.
Precisely. Consistency comes from clarity.
Okay, so wrapping up Clause 5 then, it really is the foundation, isn't it? Leadership stepping up, setting direction with a policy, and making sure everyone knows their part.
It's the absolute bedrock, setting the tone, providing the structure. You can't build a solid house on shaky foundations, and you can't build a strong ISMS without this leadership piece being solid.
And it really underpins everything else in the standard.
Totally. All the later clauses about planning, operations, evaluation, improvement, they all rely on Clause 5 being done right.
Yeah.
Weak leadership undermines the whole system.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about the companies you deal with every day, your bank, online shops, maybe even your employer. Do you actually see signs of this kind of leadership commitment to security in how they communicate, how they act, how they handle your information?
That's a good question.
And what difference do you think that visible commitment or maybe the lack of it makes to their overall security and maybe to your trust in them? Something to mull over.
Definitely worth thinking about. And look, if you're really digging into building a robust ISMS, keep exploring the other clauses of 27001. They all build on this leadership foundation we've unpacked today. It's a comprehensive framework for protecting information in, well, a pretty complex world.